Hey guys, OG Albina here, and today we have another pretty cool video. We're going to be talking about some new Pokemon news. We got introduced to a new Pokemon, which is on the screen, in Poltchageist, which is technically a Sinistea conversion evolution, but it feels like it's a Polteageist. At least it looks like that stat-wise and name-wise. I don't know. It's very confusing, but we're going to get into it and talk about it and its potential competitive implications and things like that. So if you guys do enjoy today's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet discussion video, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 3,000 subscribers, and I would really appreciate if you help me out along that journey. If everybody who watches videos today subscribed, we'd hit it today, so I'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much if you do decide to end up subbing and enjoy. Okay, so like I said, today we have Poltchageist, which is going to be the Matcha Pokemon, and we're going to talk about what we do know about it, because I am a bit confused about this guy. First off, we know that it is a Grass and Ghost type, and it has a new ability called Hospitality. Now, its name is Poltchageist, which sounds like Polteageist, right? You think it'd be the convergent species of Polteageist, but it's actually confirmed to be a convergent species of Sinistea, the first form. So I'm going to go through this video assuming that this is going to be a final form, or if it's a single form, it is going to be Polteageist level stats, and we'll talk about that more later, and not Sinistea. Keep in mind, this could mean that there might be an evolution that is more Polteageist, stat-wise, and sits around there. But regardless, we're going to be talking about whatever the final form of this line could be stat-wise and things like that. So it might end up having an evolution. I could be wrong, but its name is Poltchageist, and it looks big, and it looks like a final form to me, at the very least. So I'm going to go through with that assumption. Now, like I said, what do we know? We know it's a convergent species of the Polteageist line, at the very least. It is a Grass and Ghost type, and it has a new ability called Hospitality. Now, what does Hospitality do? Hospitality is being introduced in the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. When a Pokemon with this ability enters the battle, it showers its ally with Hospitality, restoring a small amount of the target's HP. Now, this is interesting. I'm assuming this is just only going to be doubles applicated, and I'm assuming it's also going to be a lot like Toad-Scroll, where it is its only ability, but I could be wrong. I'm hoping that it gets some kind of other ability, because it's useless in singles. If not, it's at least not hindering, so it's not necessarily a bad thing. So, what we know about it: Grass and Ghost, Sinistea / Polteageist line, and the ability is going to be Hospitality, which is mostly doubles based. It's going to heal the target, and I'm sure that's really good in doubles, but I don't play doubles. We're going to be talking about this from a singles perspective. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into our predictions. Why do I have Toad-Scroll up right here? The reason being is this is our one example of a convergent species, and I'd like to kind of show you this. You notice anything? These Pokemon have the same exact stat spread. Same exact BST, same exact stat spread. It does not change between these two Pokemon. So that's something to keep in mind right here. I think that whatever the final level of this line, whether it be Poltchageist or another Pokemon, it will have the same BST as Polteageist. So the stat spread will be as follows: 60 HP, 65 attack, 65 defense, 134 special attack, 114 super def, and 70 speed. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Typically, when you look at a lot of the Grass and Ghost types that we have so far, you can go ahead and pull up Grass and Ghost. A lot of them are more defensive Pokemon. Bramblegast is pretty offensive, but it's seen as bulky Spiker, Windrider, Abuser. Decidueye, same thing, is going to be a little bit more bulky in most usage. Pumpkaboo, Gourgeist, Delmise, all of these Pokemon are a little bit fatter. So having a Grass Ghost typing that's more offensive is definitely not a bad thing at all, and I think it could be really cool. Especially when you keep into account the fact that Ghost plus Grass isn't really resisted by much in the game right now. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a single Pokemon that does resist it. Now, I know it's not an unresisted stab type, and I'm sure there's a Pokemon in the game that resists both Shadow Ball plus Giga Drain. But this Pokemon, honestly, if it keeps Shell Smash, seems much stronger than regular Polteageist, because now that Giga Drain that Polteageist regularly gets, and typically will sometimes throw on as a coverage move, now that's going to be stab boosted, and it means it's going to do a lot more to those normal types and those dark types that want to come in and check your Shadow Balls. So I think that's a really clutch aspect, and especially when we take into account Terra being a thing on this thing, giving it Terra Blast, and then making it either like a potential fighting type, a potential fire type, could be really, really cool for it offensively in a lot of setup manners. That Grass Ghost typing is also going to allow it to get more setup opportunities, in the face of potential water types, electric types, ground types, things like that, whether it be on a switch out or just naturally living at least one hit because of the new added grass defensive typing, which is cool. It does make you weaker to some things. It makes you weaker to other priority options in Ice Shard, as well as Sucker Punch, but you're not really living priority moves in general, and now you at least resist Aqua Jet. So honestly, I think it's a net buff to Polteageist. Whatever the final line or the final stage of this line will be, is going to be better than Polteageist. That's my prediction. As long as the stats stay the same and it keeps that Shell Smash aspect. If it can still Shell Smash, Giga Drain, and Terra Blast, it's going to be very strong potentially. Now, ability-wise, like I said, we already know its ability is going to be Hospitality, right? You've already seen this down here. However, I'm really holding out that it gets something else for a little bit more singles application. Instead of just being like, only Hospitality, like Toadscroll's only Mycelium Might. Something I was thinking was potentially Water Absorb on it, being like a T Pokemon, especially Matcha based. I think it would be really cool for it to have Water Absorb, because then when we Terra Fire, we have that Water Immunity instead of being Water Weak. So I think Terra Fire would be incredible on it. On top of the fact that just having an immunity to such a common typing in water is great, especially if Scald ends up coming back, which is going to be is obviously a very spammable move. If you guys don't know, there's a big theory running around that Scald will be coming back. We saw Milotic use what looked like Scald in a trailer a couple months ago, and people were thinking it might come back with one of the DLCs. So I could potentially see that if it ends up getting access to that Water Absorb as second ability. I think that'd be awesome. I think it makes a lot of sense. However, now that we have a confirmed ability and it only shows the one, I don't necessarily think it's going to get a hidden ability. And I could be wrong, but really, who knows? It's Game Freak. They're not super consistent in anything they do, so it could be something different. Now, as for sets you're going to see in this thing, I think mostly you're going to see like Shell Smash sets with either a White Herb or potentially rocking out with a Focus Sash right here. Again, very similar sets. We're going to be Terra, probably Fire or Fighting. I'm going to say Fire right here because I think it's a little bit better. If we rock out with this kind of coverage, you could also see potentially like, Strength Sap in one of these slots, all things considered. And it might even get access to some of the powder moves like Sleep Powder, Stun Spore, things like that. If it does, that's pretty cool utility. I don't think it'll get access to Spore. That's usually kind of reserved for mushroom type residing like Pokemon like Toadscroll, Amoonguss, things like that. But who knows? They could just decide to give this thing all of the moves and make it really, really good. But we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But yeah, this prediction video is going to be a little bit shorter just because we don't really have to do any kind of stat spread. It's kind of written in it's right here for us. We don't really have to think much about it. It's going to be this. I'd be willing to bet money it's going to be the same exact as Polteageist. We know the ability, and the coverage probably doesn't change too much besides getting like maybe Powder Moves, Energy Ball, Leaf Storm, things like that, as well as like the Giga Drain that it already has. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you're excited for Poltchageist, if you think this is the final form because it's named after Polteageist, or if you think there's going to be another form because, it says it's a Sinistea convergent, and when it shows in this picture, it's with all NFE Pokemon, like Yanma and Munchlax, so I'm curious as to, what ends up happening right here. I don't know. We'll end up seeing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about even just design. I'm curious to see. Again, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd really appreciate it helping out. Like I said, every sub today we get to 3,000. So let's celebrate 3,000 tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Later.